Welcome back to the Vintage Firearm series, where we upload mostly on Rumble and to a lesser degree on YouTube. Today we have a Savage Stevens 258A. It's a kind of an interesting gun. They were trying to fill a void between a single shot shotgun and a pump shotgun. It's a little bit, in some circles, maybe better than a side-by-side, certainly cheaper. But in reality, it's kind of clunky. Having said that, it's still fun to shoot. This particular one seems, they ran, first of all, from about 1937 to 1965. I believe this one very well could be from 1955. I've had it for quite some time and it was dysfunctional. But yesterday, I'm in one of my favorite FFLs and I see one just like it. And it's all beat up. It's got a fender bolt here. And it's really not in too good a shape, but it had a part I needed. So it had this, which is the clip. Now the clip that I had in this gun was very much defective, and that's why it was unusable. But this one here works really well. So the gun was very cheap. They were going to give me a good price on it because I buy so much there. And so for the moment, I bought the gun and took the clip. So at some point when I pick up my next set of guns, I will go ahead and likely pick up that gun too, but I don't really know if I will. But in any case, it's kind of, and this one is kind of a cool gun in many ways. We just have to get it functional. Before I tried to do it, I think I put a shell in the chamber and fired it, so I know it fires. But other than that, I really don't know much about it. The other clip, you just couldn't chamber it, and I believe this will work out just great. The quality of the bolts and everything for an inexpensive shotgun, I would say, is pretty high. Also, there's a safety on it here that seems to work. And so we'll pretty much, the finish on it, considering its age, you see at 55, it would be 69 years old. Let me go ahead and show it to you. Now, the only reason I bought that clip, or bought the gun to get the clip, is the gun was so cheap. These guns are very, very cheap. You can pay anywhere from $100 for them to, I would say, late 200s. Anything more than that, and you're really probably going to be paying too much. I have on the upper end of that figure here probably about $270 in this right now, including the purchase of that other gun. Is it worth $270? Just barely. It is kind of a unique gun though, and I do like it for that. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's see if we can use this light again. Yesterday we were doing really good with this light, I thought. Okay, let you guys see it first. It doesn't seem to be too bad. Let's see if I can lessen the intensity of the light. Seems okay. Let me look at it. See if I can see it in real time here a little bit better. Yeah, this is good. Real good. Okay. I think quite possibly maybe the clip got damaged. I don't know whether it was somebody ran over with it with something or whatever it was, but it just seemed quite dysfunctional. So Yeah, their goal, I mean, if you think about the guns that were being built, let's take 1937 when this was introduced. There was a lot of side-by-sides at that time. Now, side-by-side was a great gun. A 20 gauge would float. This will not float. This will not float. But it'd be a good starter gun because a side-by-side would be very expensive. In today's money, a side by side, if you could get one for $1,000, you'd probably be doing really well. In some cases, you might be able to pick one up. I think I picked up that LC Smith for in the 5 range. That's an unusual thing, and it had a pretty bad stock. I would gladly take that gun, for $500 rather than this one for $270. So I started out buying this gun for a lot less money, but then I knew that the clip was not quite right, but I figured I could fix it. And I just played with it from now and then, and I said, man, it ain't worth no more time to me. So let's see here what we got. Yep, all indications, there's a little G on top of the barrel, and that might mean that it's 1955, but let's skip that for the moment and say that's an inaccurate way of assessing its year. I would then proceed to look at the furniture on it, for one thing. And the furniture on it would indicate to me that that could be a very likely range. So that's another thing. Let's go ahead, take this outside. We didn't check, because I don't even think it says on here. It doesn't say, well, a lot of times they're inaccurate anyways, but I think it'd be nice if you really gave some idea of what the choking was. Oh. Okay, let's see here. It's pretty open. Yeah. If I can get the reflection of the light for me. It's cylinder. It's not even choked. Well, the cool thing about that is you could shoot slugs through this. I mean, you could use this, well, in some states, in some communities, you could use this as a deer hunting rifle and shoot slugs through it. Everyone should know that you can't shoot slugs through a choke gun. You'll destroy the gun. So in any case, let's go ahead and let's go outside. Okay, here we are outside getting ready to try out our 258A. I had to look, see if it was 258 or 259. I couldn't remember. Okay, so we're going to pull out our clip. These are temperamental at best, and so you have to play with them. Sometimes the brass gets hung up a little bit on them, and you have to, in this case, it's hard to do with one hand. I recommend using both hands if that's an option for you. Okay, so now I mentioned earlier about shooting possibly a deer with a slug. I don't know if that's really a good idea on a 20 gauge. I'll let you decide that. You'd have to be pretty close, I think, to make sure that you were successful and the animal didn't suffer. So basically, gotta go get my ears. Hang on a second. I'm gonna get set up one of these days. Okay. There we go. I've got 2 bean cans. I'm calling them bean cans. I don't know what they were. On top of the 2 rocks down there. We're going to load it really nice. Couldn't complain with that at all. And let's see what our cylinder board does. Take the safety off. And cycled well. And there you have it. The ejection is excellent. They loaded up really well. I'd say the trickiest part of it is loading the clip. And let's go back inside. I want to talk about the differences and different guns that you would choose within a certain price category a little bit more. I started a little bit in on it, but I think I'd like to elaborate. Okay, so let's talk about why somebody would want a gun like this. Now, they made two variants of this that I'm aware of. I think it was a 258A and a 258B. The B was a 410. I have one of those and I did a video on it, and you should be able to see it online, especially if you're on Rumble. Everything is on Rumble. Some of the stuff is on YouTube. If you go to Rumble, for the best experience, you're going to want to download their app. It'll play better that way, actually. And if you're on a computer, it really plays well. From what I see, I mean, it just may be on the particular site I go to, maybe because of I'm a content provider. I'm not really sure, but in any case, you can check out Rumble. I think you'd be happy with it. People can say what they want to say. They don't have to worry about. Sometimes I upload a video to Rumble and I'm thinking, you know, if I put this on YouTube, are they going to be upset? Are they going to slow walk it? Probably. Because you have to be careful with every word. If you say one word, like automatic, this for me saying the word automatic, if I upload this to YouTube, it could be slow walked. It's possible. Okay. And the problem with YouTube is that you don't have any communication with them at all. They just tell you what they've done. They don't tell you why, and they say you can appeal it, but if you appeal it, it doesn't seem that they watch it again or anything, because the first time would not be reasonable to reject it. So then they would just reject it again for without reason. Okay, so that's why I don't put as much effort into it. I think Rumble will be good in the end. In whatever it is, it's fine anyways. So, thinking about 1937 and the guns that were out there, as I've already mentioned, a lot of side-by-sides, a lot of single barrels, a poor man or a farmer, something like that, getting rodents, away from rodents, protection from his family, small game hunting. Actually, if he had a 12 gauge, he could really do some serious thing, especially with one like this that was pretty open, like a cylinder bore. Then you can put a slug through it. So you have a lot of options, especially at close range. And a 20 gauge even would be a great option. Some of these guns were not fired that much. They may not have been kept in the best of environments because they were inexpensive guns. If you bought some super high-end gun like a Parker or something, you were going to treat it with kid gloves. If you went ahead and bought a very inexpensive gun like this one back in the day, you'd probably be less concerned about it, and you might have even left it in the barn or the garage or anywhere else that was convenient for you. So what are the choices today? What was the choices then? Well, the choices then really are almost the exact same choices they are today. You do have, of course, new guns today that were mass produced, and they're functional enough, and they are direct competitors to this. But if you want to get a classic gun, a gun that will be around 100 years from now and probably work just as well with good care, you might want to consider vintage. That's the way I feel about it. I'm just a caretaker. I just hold on to these guns for a while, and then it'll be somebody else's turn. With this gun here, it works exceptionally well, to be honest with you, with the exception of I might try to find a different kind of, I'm using, basically it's pretty close to being high brass, and the little lip catches, and so when I'm loading it, I got to reach my finger in and push down the second one to get the first one, I guess, and so I can get the second one in, the one up on top. What is this gun though, really? We're really capable of doing 2 shots with this gun, which is really what a side-by-side is. So if you can get a good side-by-side, a solid one that locks up well, that would be obviously the better choice. But having said this, for a first gun or a gun just because you picked it up somewhere and you got a good deal on it, why not go with that? Because I think a side-by-side is going to cost you more. Probably twice as much more. So you have to consider that. I love the stock on this overall, considering it was a mass-produced gun. I found this gun to be very effective. I found the safety to work well. I do think you have to set it. It doesn't automatically go into safety. And once it's on safety, this is interesting. Once it's on safety, it will not open the bolt. I guess it depends what you're thinking about, you know, at that point in time and what your philosophies are. Because if you've got one in the chamber and the safety is going to let you lock you out of ejecting that, you know, somebody could be confused by that, especially someone relatively new to firearms. So that's a consideration. But it all seems to work fairly well. I didn't have any problems with it. I think this gun had been fired very, very, very little, although probably cared for a little less than that. So you had the, and today you have the option of the side-by-side, the single barrel. This is a little bit better than a single barrel because you actually can, within a few seconds, put a second shot in there. And that could come into very, very handy, being very, very handy. But on the other hand, if you had a side-by-side, that'd be far superior. You know, like I said, a 20 gauge is a side-by-side. A good one, a good 20 gauge is going to float when you send it through the horizon. You know, it's just going to go there. This a little less so, a little less so. But still a good choice. I think if you're in a pawn shop and you find something like this, these guns are going to be all over pawn shops. Because that's just the kind of guns that they like to have. Or if you go into a FFL or something like that, you can go in there and definitely find these guns. Don't pay a lot though, because there's another one at another store down the street. So if they're asking a lot of money for it, unless it's some exceptional gun that's never been fired, and then I would ask them if it's okay, as I mentioned earlier, if you can put a couple of snap caps through. Now, if the place is packed, you're going to freak out everybody there. But if they look at it and they know it's a snap cap, they shouldn't mind you loading it in. But you can even ask them to do that in the back room. If it is crowded or something, say, hey, can you put these 2 snap caps in here and go make sure they cycle well? I think that's a fair request because that's a problem these are known to have. So in any case, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode, and I will see you tomorrow on Rumble. And thank you very much for your time and energy. I appreciate it. If you want a sub, I would appreciate that, or a thumbs up would be really cool. In any case, I hope to see you again soon, maybe even tomorrow. I'll be here. Bye-bye.